so as I thought about that word, then I thought about, okay, what is it that I can share with you in the learning that I'm having in my doctoral program? And so one of the theories, if you will, or concepts that I've been working through in my work is socialization and liberation. Socialization and liberation. Without vision, the people will perish. Okay? So we have to think about non-Black Americans, and you are South African. Our journeys have been similar as it relates to how white people treat us, okay, and the world that we were born into. So we came into this world as a blank slate, as a baby, with nothing but who we are. We have been socialized over time to think and believe and be who we are and what we think about each other. So let's think about socialization. And for those of you later, you can type this in Google and you can deal with this and study the cycle more. It is work by Bobby Harrow. She's a psychologist. And it's the cycle of socialization, the cycle of liberation. Okay, I want you to write that and remember that and Google that and look at that, because I'm just going to briefly speak on it for the small time that we have. But when this first socialization begins, it's who you're born to. Socialization, you come as a baby, and your first socialization is who you're born to. The family that you're born to, your parents, your cousins, your aunties, the community, the people that you love and trust, they begin to shape you. They tell you what to like and what not to like and who to like and who not to like. I mean, the religions that they have, the customs that they have, you have no choice in any of it. You had no choice to be born into a system of apartheid. I had no choice to be born into a system of white supremacy. This is what happens. And so then our minds begin to shape based on who we're born to. There's a book, it's Dr. Carter G. Woodson from the United States wrote this book years ago, The Miseducation of the Negro. And what the one piece that I remember strongly and is guided by is if you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. Okay, let's say that together, or repeat after me. If you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. I don't even know who this is calling me in South Africa. If you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. So in socialization, it's all about control, right? All about control. So you think about it now, we're born to our parents and those that we love, and we are beginning to be socialized in that way as they were, right? As they were. So we continue this path. And then it gets reinforced by the systems that we live under, right? So you go from that, and then the reinforcement goes to institutions, your churches, your schools, what the television says, the legal system, the mental health, all informs what we believe. Our culture. I'm not a lot about how your African culture is, but Black American culture. And if you come from the South, if you come from the North, if you come from the West and the East, there's different ways that you go about living that continue to be reinforced. So I'm not sure about your colored culture, or your Black culture, and the way that we've been divided is part of the socialization. Then we begin to think about each other in different ways. We love each other or we hate each other because the systems say that Black people don't work together. The systems say that colored people do this and Black people do this and this tribe does that, and then, we begin to buy into that. You keep going, it is enforced and sanctioned and stigmatized. The church says, I know when I grew up I started out in the Baptist tradition and in the Church of God in Christ tradition, and you talk about what women do and what women don't do. You don't wear dresses and you don't do this, and you stay at home. And things evolve over time, but these are systems that we begin to believe. And we're governed in that way. And then something happens as we grow up. Then you start to question, really question. I think about the people that are gay or transgendered, and they have to hold on and stay in the closet because the culture doesn't appreciate you as your choices, or this is happening. Things happen. And then you decide, okay? You get mad or you get angry and something is happening inside of you that says, I'm either gonna stay with this, I'm gonna stay on this cycle of socialization, I'm gonna exit. Okay? I'm gonna stay with this. And I'm just gonna be angry, I'm just accepting it. I'm accepting it the way that it is. And I'm just gonna keep on that cycle. Then you have children, and then your children start that cycle again. And then you have to decide if you're gonna live that way. And inside of socialization is fear. Inside of socialization is anger. Inside of socialization, I'm looking at my notes here so I can, in time. Inside of socialization is confusion. Inside is insecurity, all of those things that then make us sick, right? It stress. But that's the cycle that you're on. I'm telling the truth, think about it. And even though apartheid was dismantled, you still live under that system. It's just called something different. Or you do it differently. You don't talk about it as much as it was before, but it's still there. You see the segregation. I've been with you all for 25 years, and we still see it. Debbie and I were talking about it today. We was like, interesting. Now the white people are taking care of the car lots. That used to be the black jobs. Right? That used to be what they gave us. But now that the economy is the way that it is and it's tight, here we go. We're still pushed out. Right? It keeps us fighting among each other instead of us coming together and understanding that there's strength in numbers. If I picked all of you up and took you to the United States with me, not one person would call you colored, if that's what you're called here. Not one person would know you as colored. Everyone's black, right? That's a system that you have created, or that the white folks have created for you, that we continue to buy into. And then there's animosity within the colors and the blacks and that kind of thing because of the socialization that we have been into. So I'm saying this because without vision, the people will perish. So if we continue to be socialized, if our mind continues to buy into the falsehoods that we've been fed, then we're going to stay on this track. What Pastor Debbie is asking us to do as a community is to liberate ourselves. We want to go on a cycle of liberation. And in order to liberate you have to intentionally step off that cycle. You have to say, I'm done with that. You have to say, I'm done with that. Like you were saying, Christoph. You know, do I want to be in the business? Can I be in the business? Will I be in the business? You know, what's going to happen to me? You have to be willing to step into those murky waters. You have to walk by faith and not by sight. You have to trust and believe in the Lord, and you have to believe in yourself. So what's inside the cycle of liberation? Let's take a look at that. Inside liberation, well, in the center of liberation is self-love. In the center of liberation is joy. In the center of liberation is support and security and balance. And that comes from working together. So what happens when you step off the socialization cycle? You have to get ready. You've got to reject. You've got to shed. You've got to let all that has been taught to you in the past. You've got to let it go. Okay? You're born again. Right? It's like being baptized. And you let that of the old go. So that is the start of that. And then what happens is you start to reach out and you start to make new friends and new people. The people, when I was coming up, my mom used to always tell me, better stupid is as stupid does, you know, and so you keep hanging out with these people, that's who you're going to become. That's what this is, you got to let them go. So there may be people in your life, people that are always in your ear, telling you what's negative and what's not going to happen, and, you know, hating on you, bringing you down. Those people have to go, and it might be a hard choice because some of those might be family. Everyone doesn't see what you see. Only you can see what you see. And so when people are casting doubt over your dream, then that is something that needs to go. You have to let it go. Inside, once you do that, then you start to build a community. And that's what I see right here. That's what I see at this moment, looking at you, is that you all are saying, okay, I'm in business, I want to go in business, right? So you have stepped off the socialization cycle because they tell us that we're not supposed to be in business. Not us, right? We're supposed to let the white man do everything for us. And we give them our money, even though they don't treat us the way that we deserve to be treated. Okay, so you all are saying, I'm gonna do something different. That's the first step in liberation. So you're searching your heart, you're preparing your mind, your body, and your spirit, and now what you have to do is you have to build community. You have to come together. You have to start with each other and having faith in one another and supporting one another. Because what did I say? Inside of liberation is self-love, self-esteem, support, balance, joy. And then once you start to, and trust. Because once you start to trust each other, then you start coalescing, and then you're building strong networks. And you become a force to contend with. Okay? Pastor Debbie was saying that all these areas have chambers. Why not you? It's not hard to do. It's paperwork. She's the queen of paperwork. Right? Someone has to take that step. And then, once you do that, then it's like action. You know, you're creating change. You're out there and you're making a difference. Now, I heard this is the notes that I took. There's a home nursing business, funeral services, draping, bicycle carrier, photographer, t-shirt printing, childcare, florist, multimedia production, events management, artist management, personal development, garden route media, electrical distribution, catering, youth development, and accounting. You got a whole business infrastructure right here in this room. Just among the people that you don't know the people that are in multimedia and photography, there's 3 or 4 of you all in here. That's a whole company right then and there. Or that is a memorandum of understanding between each of you all to say this is how we're going to work together. This is how we're going to come together to get the bigger contracts, not just the teeny bits. You know, this is how we'll work together. We're going to coalesce with one another. We'll figure out what our role is, but when we step in front to go for something, we are one. You know, we're not backdooring each other to go and get a little bit and then be happy with a little bit. That's not what we do. I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking I'll just tell you my story for right now. I'm speaking for right now in that I asked the Lord, I said, you know, my passion is coaching and consulting and helping people become their best self. And in the United States right now, there is so much hate going on that it makes it really uncomfortable to live in the space. And so it's like, okay, when George Floyd was murdered, you all heard about that. When George Floyd was murdered in real time, we all watching this police officer with the knee on his neck and he's dying in front of us. I don't know where these white people was before, but many of them woke up. Okay? Like they, I don't know that they didn't know that racism was real before, but when they saw it in real time, many millions have awakened. That's my opportunity. Because just like I'm talking, socialization, liberation, that was their moment where they got off of the cycle and they're going, what do I do? What do I do? They need to own that they've been a part of it, and then they need to own that they can be a part of the solution. And so what happened was, I went to, I like to go to these mountain retreats and clear my heart and, you know, do that kind of thing. So I was on a mountain when New Year's in 2020. Yeah, 2020. And I was writing out my goals, and that's the other thing. You gotta write it down. Make it plain. And be specific about what you ask for. Because I asked God to send me a man, and then the one he sent me the other time, I was like, not that one. Not that one. When you said send a man, you weren't specific about what it is that you wanted to do. Be but 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's not on the notes. He's not on the notes. No. Poor guy. So I was being specific about my goals. And there's one thing, this certification that I have, it's called the Intercultural Development Inventory. And it assesses people regarding their intercultural competence. And there's a scale. And so when people say, I'm anti-racist, then I'm like, well, how do you know? You know, what kind of measurement have you taken? Companies say that they want to be anti-racist. Well, how are you going to know when you get there? You know, where are you now? So this is a tool that is really amazing that offers an opportunity. It's not the only one, but it's one that I happen to certify in. And so I put up there, and I really enjoy the work. Because the work, I get to meet with people one-on-one and really talk about their journey, just like I'm talking about it with you. Tell me your earliest images of racism and what, you know, how it impacted your life. And a lot of white people in America are waking up now to find out that they've really been lied to. They've been kept away from a lot of information. They grow up in these neighborhoods, all white neighborhoods, and then it's grown before they're grown before they even get to interact with black people. And so now they're feeling like, I don't want to continue this socialization cycle with my kids. So what do I do? So I had put up on my list that I wanted to do more of that work because it really is fulfilling to me. And this gentleman came, he was part of the retreat, and everyone was doing that. and you're supposed to go and walk by and see what people are doing. We had, you know, you had this and you had it all over the wall. And so he came to my papers, and he was just standing there, you know, and he was reading. And then he goes, "What is this IDI?" And I said, "Oh, Intercultural Development Inventory," and I told him about it, and he says, "Oh, I've heard of that before. He says, "I'll come back to you." And then he came back, and he goes, "Yes, I've heard of this before." He works for Amazon, the largest employer on earth. That's their goal. And he asked me to send him a proposal to conduct this work with his staff. And I did, and I didn't hear from him for like 4 months. This was in January that I sent the proposal, right after the New Year. I didn't hear from him until April, maybe May. And then so someone asks you to send your proposal, then you don't hear from him. What do you start doing? Huh? Start doubting, start wondering, like, who is this guy? Really? Da, da, da. Hey, but I didn't do that. I just said, he asked me to send him a proposal. I sent him a proposal, and I went on to the next thing. You know, just kept on doing it. I didn't doubt at all. I just said, wow, it's taken a long time, you know. I hope to hear from him at some point, but I didn't even learn. And now you fast forward, Amazon is my client. And not only Amazon, but the people that recruit for Amazon, the people that hire for them, those people are my client. So now Debbie just told me that Amazon is coming, or is building in Cape Town. In Cape Town. That's huge. I work with the people that are the worldwide talent acquisition folks. Being
so what are we going to do now?
Huh?
So what are we going to do now?
Yeah, what are we going to refer? You know, we have to start to figure out, getting ourselves together. Who wants to work there? What jobs do we have? So that we can put our proposal together and say, here we are. Okay, I'm saying this to say that your mind has to be liberated. Okay? You have to liberate your mind. If you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. Right? And you have to remember, inside liberation is love, self-love, self-esteem. So it's you in the mirror, you and God, believing in your vision. Whatever is given to you, don't sit on it. Let's go. Let's go for it. Let's work together. Let's do this. Right? Each of you have said what you want to do, what you are doing. And each of you at this minute, either you start doing something, those of you, every day, even if you're just writing one paragraph of your business plan, even if you're just researching for an hour to find out your market analysis, something every day. Those of you that are in your business every day, what is it that I can do to take my work to the next level? How can I be on the top of my game? Each of you must work on your 30-second elevator speech. 30 seconds. You gotta be able to tell me what you do in 30 seconds, because you have no idea when that opportunity will come. It's just like, where's the light switch, Pastor Debbie? Do you press it, or it has to come on?
May you place it?
Where?
Me on the other side, sweetie?
This one.
Other one?
That one.
This one. This one.
Yeah.
The top
This
one.
one.
Place the
This
top one. It's gonna go off.
We're in the dark. And just like that, right? That's how it's gonna work. Y'all take a minute. But just like that, okay? You see that? You turn the lights off. That's where you can be, and just as quickly as you're in the dark, you'll be in the light. Just as quickly as you are in the dark, you'll be in the light. Well, when the light comes on, what you gonna do? You gotta be ready. You gotta be ready. And it's not about asking, give me, because that work will be done. My Amazon work, if I wasn't ready, I wouldn't be doing it. When they said go, I said go. And it is the joy of my life. I have a job, you know, I work at a university, you all remember that. I recruit students and work with them. I work in campus ministry. And a matter of fact, I had a vision in my mind. It's like, we need to start recruiting students from the continent. At least right now, it should be those that can afford, and then we can work on scholarship. And so that's led me to Ghana. And my very first student is on her way now to the United States to recruit. But it was a vision that I had to act on. Amazon was a vision that I had to act on. Okay, and so it's happening. Purchasing land in Ghana was a vision that I had to act on, and really with faith, because that was money, right, that I needed to put down. And the Lord said, go, and I can only expect. And I'll tell you that story too, because you know really well when you're in business, you have to be on top of your business. And if I'm purchasing land in Ghana, how am I going to be on top of my business? But I said, you know what, Lord, I trust you. I believe in you. I'm just going to go for it. You all, I promise you, I put the money, I wired the money, I purchased the land. Then next week, my girlfriend called me, her name's Felicia. She said, and it was early in the morning, she's like, girl, get up, God told me to bless you. I was like, girl, what? Yes, me now. You know, I woke up. Felicia's retired from the airlines. And she called and told me that she put me on her benefits. So I can fly anywhere in the world, anytime I get ready, space available. So I was in Ghana last week, my business concluded, I was like, I think I'll go to South Africa.
3 days. 3 days.
You see what I mean? I never could have imagined that in a million years, that would happen, or that would happen. Never in a million years. But it's like the light switch. It's dark, and I'm worried about how I'm gonna oversee my investments and this, that, and another. I followed the Lord's will, and then the Lord said, whoop, lights on, don't worry. So there's never a worry now. I can fly straight to, I flew from Seattle to Washington, D.C., and then Washington, D.C. straight to Ghana, first class. Yeah. You understand? I'm not saying that in a boastful way. I'm saying that was the dark, and then it's a light. And more than I can imagine. That was like a floodlight. You understand? Floodlight. So that's my message to you all today, is to love yourself, believe in yourself, take stock in your socialization. Okay, because you have to really reflect, and I want you to look that up, Bobby Harlow, the cycle of socialization and the cycle of liberation. That's the academic side of things. So I just briefly explained it, but I want you to read about it, and then I want you to apply it to yourself. Okay, apply it to yourself, and then the question becomes, how am I socialized? And what is it that I do need to let go and step off? And has my liberation journey begun? If it hasn't begun, then begin it. God bless you.
25 years ago,
25, yes, probably 25.
so she tells me she's got all the dreams of coming to South Africa and doing such a lot of things. and life goals, and this is what she wanted to do, and that's what she wanted to do. 25 years later, I can tell you, I've seen her grow. I've seen, she's bypassed me.
We're together.
So the fact is this, it can happen. It can happen. But it's like she says, we are so, I'm
Socialized. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Ons is so, ons wil nie, ek is so bang, ek het nou gehoor, nou Eien het dit fotografie, nou jy het die fotografie, hulle is te bang vir mekaar. Plus hulle met mekaar werk en groot deals kry. Maar nou wat gebeur, die dorp kry die groot deals, want nou Eien kan dit nie doen. I'm just saying about the concept of them working together. And I must say this stuff in Afrikaans, so you know how it's like. Maar verstaan julle? En al my besigheidslewe het ek nooit alleen gewerk nie. Ek het baie kontakte, ek wil net werk en dan kan ek dinge laat gebeur. So die feit is, ons moet nie bang wees vir mekaar. Ons moet nie worry oor, sy gaan meer geld as my maakie, sy gaan nog groter huis bou. Dit is 'n issue nie. Ons competition is nie hier tussen ons. Onze competition lê in dorp, het lê in Pakkersdorp, het lê in Kimberley, whatever. Maar ons werk allemaal saam. Maar waar lê, wie die meeste geld in die dorp? Is dit in Pakkersdorp? In die dorp? Al die jare. Wie het al die restaurante? In die dorp. Ek het vanavond, sorry, I'll go back to English.
Yeah, well, let me just say this about even going back to English and Africa. You're bilingual. Okay, I can only speak English, right? And I'm going, what's she saying? What's she saying? I don't even know if you see that as beautiful, right? I mean, like, I don't know if you honor that in yourself, that you just think that's something that you do. That's amazing. And some of you may be trilingual or speak different dialects. That in itself is love for yourself. I just wanted to say that because I'm sitting here going, but you're switching. That's amazing.
So the thing is this is why we're saying we need to work together. We don't want to compete about it. Kan ek net sê Ella wat vandag gebeur? I got the phone call on my Angela. We have a flat at, that's my income. I've always been to property, so we have this house in the Valia, which I always use as a student house. That was our income, and then I have a flat back home as an income. So people know when they're needing accommodation, they call me. So I get a call about it's a nice contact. For a couple of years,
I'm gonna go million.
Anyway, so somebody called me to say they need place now. The flat is full. I cannot leave the flat out. The house we've changed because my daughter got married during COVID and wanted to stay with her sister. So she moved upstairs. So I don't have that anymore.